Hello and welcome to the midday tyre fitting zone here at Rally Italia, Sardinia. My goodness me, what a morning it's been now. Ivan Brynildsen will be with us all day, but in particular for the next 40 minutes, we are going to be discovering exactly what happens here at the tyre fitting zone, and there's plenty to go on. But first of all, I'm not sure we expected that drama from Thierry.
No, I thought he really going to control this. And all of a sudden, a small mistake, and he just missed the braking, I think, and maybe lost the focus for like a tenth of a second. He dropped out of the ruts, and immediately he understood that this is not going to end good, because he started to say some bad words already on the brakings.
Yes, such disappointment for Thierry, and we were just discussing it now. Of course, Thierry is leading our championship title race at the moment by 24 points over Elfyn Evans. That is now put very much into question. What can Elfyn do? How much can Elfyn make up over the next 4 stages to play out? Because we've got the stages, the points that you can bag from today, but also Super Sunday. Thierry comes back in, hopefully, for Super Sunday. So he's going to be pushing for all of those and had plenty of power stage wins already this season. So it's now for Elfyn to make much of this situation.
Yeah, and try to make the gap as small as possible up to Thierry now. I think this rally was really important for Thierry, because this rally is very difficult, and now we could extend this lead. Now the other guys is making and taking the chance to increase that gap, and yeah, maybe this will challenge his title chance this year.
Maybe. Well, Ogier is on a charge, 3.5 seconds ahead of Sébastien Ogier at the moment. Of course, Sébastien Ogier picking up a puncture, only taking 5 tyres out. What is he going to do at this midday tyre fitting zone? Is he again going to take the gamble? I think probably not. Once bitten, twice shy, but you never know.
No, you never know, but I think maybe they will all go out on 6 tyres.
So just to remind you, Thierry Neuville's got 110, Elfyn Evans with 86 at the moment. That's the 24-point difference. Ogier Tänak in 3rd there. Adrian Fourmaux dropped to 4th, but again, such a difficult weekend for Adrian. Those points are going to be taken away from him as Sébastien Ogier gets more. So Sébastien Ogier currently in 5th, Tänak in 6th. Tänak now in a podium position, looking to get a good points haul on Saturday night. Then it's Calais, Esapeka, and so on. But it's really interesting, that mix now, that overall championship title race definitely has started to move around. Adrian Fourmaux is going to drop out of that Sébastien Ogier. And we've been talking about this quite a bit at the moment. If Sébastien Ogier, well, he's 3.5 off Ogier. It depends what he does here. But you can take more points and be second, so that's something to consider at the moment. If Sébastien Ogier has a good points haul here, what is his thought process as we continue through the season? I know he says that we like to speculate, but, I mean, it's a realistic chance of another championship title.
Yeah, definitely. And first of all, it's our job to speculate, and we really like it. Yeah. So, no, but I think Sébastien, if he can see a chance to win the championship, definitely he will try to do it. And I think now, with a good scoring points in Sardinia, there's a chance we will see him on the rest of the rallies, because I don't think Sébastien Ogier will let a gold medal just leave because he's not doing one rally more.
Yeah, well, that's what we think. What do you think? Let us know, because it is definitely a very interesting circumstance. All right, well, what's happening here? All of the Hyundai mechanics are down here, then it's Toyota, then it's M Sport, and they are, sorry, you were just having a look actually at Sébastien Ogier on board, but what we are at now is the tyre fitting. So just talk to me, who's allowed here, what's allowed here, what goes on here?
Basically here is not so many allowed to go into this area. We will have 50 minutes tyre fitting zone, and in that time there's 2 mechanics who can help you to change the tires.
Yeah.
And you can bring some parts in the car, and you can change those parts. You cannot get any parts from the service.
And what are the rules on what parts you can take? Is that based on team per team, driver and co-driver, or is that very specific to a rally?
No, it's a safety aspect as well. You can't just bring a whole gearbox in the car, but you can bring certain parts, and the most common parts is these arms for the steering and the suspension. You don't bring a whole suspension. We are talking about weight as well.
Yeah.
So it's small parts, and you can change them on that 50 minutes. Call it small service at tyre fitting zone.
So obviously you're hugely under pressure as you're going through the stages. It's very hot here. It's an exhausting day. You've got well over 50% of the rally running on Saturday here at Rally Italia Sardinia, and then you get to what is a remote service as such. It's a tyre fitting zone. Then you've got to step up your game again and become a mechanic.
Yeah, definitely. You need to become a mechanic, because we know that some of the drivers picked up some problems on the last stage, and they have to solve that problem together with those two mechanics in 15 minutes. So there's specific training you do as a driver to learn to bleed the brakes, to change those specific parts you carry on in the car, to do it in 15 minutes together with those two and not 4 or 5 or 6 mechanics in a normal service.
Okay, well, we are sort of heading this way a little bit. We'll keep on walking. It was nice and shady here. I liked why you stopped here. I did like that.
Really
now, it
nice.
says that it's 21 degrees up here, but I think it is actually a lot warmer. We're quite high up in the mountains. There's some glorious views around here. But the bleeding of the brakes is why we're heading up to M Sport, because we heard, of course, Adrian Fourmaux and then Greg Munster as well, saying he said he had limited brakes towards the end, but it was Adrian Fourmaux that said basically he had no brakes. Now, just the men in the black bibs here, scrutineering, they're here for the very reason that we sort of just talked about, to make sure that no additional mechanics, no additional parts, nothing untoward goes on.
Yeah, and the scrutineer's job is just to follow and make sure that nobody else touches the car. We do just had a little break 200 meters down the road where they can eat, they can have some drink, and then they relax. And when they are up here, they can only be together with those two mechanics and nobody else. And the scrutineer's job is just to follow and monitoring nothing going wrong.
Well, I was just going to show you here, so the numbers of the cars that are coming in. So, of course, 33, Elvin Evans will be the first of the cars in. But it doesn't stop there, does it? We've got all the WRC2 cars coming through, so it's just a matter of a sort of production line of cars that comes through this tyre fitting zone.
It's a big rush, to be honest, because as soon as Elfin is done with his spot, he will move, and all mechanics will move, and then we will find another team and new mechanics and new tyres.
I'm going to spin us round, actually, so we can have a look, because this is the Pirelli truck. We used to have one of these as a studio all those years back, but this one put to its proper use, in fact, with all of the tyres in. And this is where each team will collect their tyres, collect their allocation, and then basically get them on the car and off again. Yeah, and they collect them and they decide what compound they will use, if it's soft or hard. And you can take 6 again, or you can gamble with 5 tyres. It's a gamble, but then you choose from the Pirelli truck and you take them out your spots and you put them on. Now, is anyone going to gamble with the 5 tyre choice again, given how rough we saw it? Because it's the same setup. They've not seen these stages today. They're going to do a run of it, then another stage, then a run and repeat. So given how rough the second pass of those stages this morning were, what do you think? If somebody goes with 5, I will jump in the sea at the service park, because okay. You don't go with 5. He already promised me he was going to jump in the sea. I think he just wants any opportunity to jump in the sea. I like to have a bath. So you're thinking nobody? No, I think it's a no-brainer. You go with 6 now. It's so rough, and we heard so many comments now on the second pass through the stage. It's so rough. We have all these nasty rocks coming up, and sometimes you can't really avoid the stones because they are in the line, and if you go out of the line, you will just end up in all this loose gravel, and you lose the steering and you go straight ahead. So it's really difficult. You need sometimes to just hit the zone, and then you will pick up a puncture, and then you need the 2 extra spares. OK, well, we are going to talk a lot about this. You've got a lot to talk about ride height. Before we get to you talking about it, take a look at this.
So ride height is the distance from the bottom of the floor to the ground. We do have a maximum and a minimum ride height for every event. Ideally, we want to run as low as possible, but we also need to protect the car. So basically, if they run too low, it scoops gravel up at the front. That can sometimes go into the air intake over the bonnet and reduce visibility. If it's too high, you get too much weight shift. So under braking, acceleration through turns, the weight of the car will lean over and it will make the car feel unsettled. The ride height on this car is very adjustable by the driver. They just need a few minimal tools and they can do it on the road section very quickly. They have these straps, which they put on the spring like this, and then they pull the sides down. That compresses this spring. Then what happens is, this part here, this is this part. This is what we call a ride height spacer. They can add those spacers. They put a cable tie around, pull it tight, and then that's 20 mil higher. On the first loop, obviously the roads will get really rutted. If it's sitting in the ruts, it's going to sit lower, so we need to lift the car. We need to make it slightly stiffer. And there's a few different ways we can do that. We can adjust the roll bar position here with this rod here. There's a pin down here, and the driver can pull the pin out and then move it in or out, and that changes the stiffness of the roll bar. The other thing is this is a 3-way adjustable damper. So it's got high and low speed compression adjustment. They have this tool in the car as well, and they can adjust the clicks on the car, and they might make them a little bit stiffer, a few clicks in on the second pass to counteract the weight shift of a higher centre of gravity. Typically, on a second pass, the ride height adjustment will go up about 20 millimetres. It's not huge amounts, 20 millimetres like that, but it does make a difference for sure. And with adjustments like this, hopefully we've got the right setup for this weekend.
Well, there we go. Just a small snippet of the ride height alterations. But actually, as you were watching that, Adrian jumped out the car and did exactly that. Now, I have no idea what's going on once we start this. Talk to me through all of the adjustments of the ride height. Obviously, the reason that they lifted the ride height on the second pass was because of those ruts. But how does it all work?
The ride height is really important because of two things. It's a safety aspect and the performance. And you always want the low car as possible. All the time, you want like a race car. You want to be on the ground due to weight distribution and the body, the roll on the car. But for the safety reason, you need to raise the car, and especially for the second pass through. So they have some small tip and tricks. They can put on some spacers on the suspension, which raise the car very easy without doing too much mechanical work for the driver and the co-driver. So that is just what Adrian did now. They put in these spacers and raised the car.
But the important thing for Adrian here is to get these brakes working again. So with limited mechanics, what is going on now?
You could actually see it on the skid marks when Adrian parked here. You could see the skid marks because he was pulling the handbrake because his brake pedal was so soft. So coming in here in a bit high speed, he pulled the handbrake and it locked up. So now they're going to take off the wheels and they're going to bleed the brakes. And it's some kind of how can I say, rhythm. You put the pressure on the brake pedal, you refill some brake fluid, and you open the little nut on the brake caliper, and you let the air come out, because what's happened is that the brake fluid is actually kind of boiling. It produces air, and then we need to get that air out of the system. So now Adrian is taking the wheel off, and you can see I have a kind of a small little tube. And soon he will put that tube onto the brake, the little nut on the brake, and then he will, the little nipple you can see from the front of the brake caliper, and he will put that tube on and open up as together with a mechanic, and he's pushing the brakes to build up pressure, and then the air is coming out.
Now the tyres just coming off this car as well, looking particularly worn. Not the worst that we've ever seen, but they are worn. Yeah,
they are worn, but I think we will see tires that is more worn because Adrian had some trouble on the last stage as well, going a bit slow. So we will find tires more worn than this, but they will soon start to do work on the brakes as well.
All right, you are joining us at the tyre fitting zone here at Rally Italia, Sardinia. Our eyes with Adrian Fourmaux as he lost the brakes in that last stage. Gregor Munster also saying that he had brake issues. But we're going to stick with Adrian Fourmaux for a bit. Additional cars will be coming into this tyre fitting zone. It is like a conveyor belt of cars coming in here. There is a limited amount of time in which they can get the repairs done, and also a limited amount of mechanics that can also work on these cars. But we're going to stick with Adrian, because this is really more of an extreme situation for coming into a very limited service and tyre fitting zone.
Yeah, and a kind of a panic as well, because you only got 15 minutes and the time is ticking. So we really need to remember the time and don't let the time fly away, because you will get penalty as well. Because in the end, on the right side of Adrian's car, you will see a yellow board, and that yellow board they have to pass, and that's called the time control, and we have to pass it in a certain time. And now I think it's very soon that Adrian will start to adjust on the ride head as well. You can see the straps on the spring on the damper.
All right, well, we are going to head down the line now just to give you a glimpse of what is going on as the additional cars start to pull into this tyre fitting zone. So we have just walked past Greg Munster, and now it's Elfyn Evans that we're having a look at. Elfyn Evans, of course, needing to make very much of this situation now with Thierry off the road. This is where Elfyn can make up those points, not necessarily through and onto a podium position here, but he's working on getting as many points that Thierry isn't for his overall championship title race.
Yeah, we talked about this many times during the weekend. It's important to be really calm and just try to be patient and wait maybe for the other guys to do some mistakes. And at the moment, Thierry went off, and then it's the time for Elfyn to get some payment, being patient. And he struggled. He really wanted to be faster, but at the moment he doesn't manage to keep up the speed. So it's a patient race maybe for Elfyn.
Okay, well, can you talk to me about what a co-driver's situation here is? Because obviously they've got to be doing different things to a driver. And how much do you rely on a co-driver here as well?
To be honest, the co-driver, they should really get even more. We should share them up even more, because they are working all the time. They are working on the road section. They are working in between the stations. They are working. They're checking the tire pressure, and even now on the tire fitting zone, they have to work as well. And we can see Scott now on the front of the car. He took out the bag with some fluid inside, and now they will, I guess, the same thing as Adrian. They will bleed the brakes, and they're changing the air filter and everything. That comes out of that bag they have been carrying all day, and especially in the air filter, we know that when they are going into a bump, there will be some dust over the bonnet, and it just fills the air filter, and it's kind of choking the car. So it's important to change that filter. And you can see how much dust it is on the used air filter. It just comes from the front of the car, throwing up dust.
All right, and crowds gathering here as well, because this is definitely a good place to spot your favourite drivers and co-drivers and team as well. So like we were saying, eyes just with Scott Martin now, Elfyn Evans. It's kind of advantage Elfyn Evans for now. There's 4 stages to go. With Thierry Neuville off at the road, we're pretty sure that this is the time for Elfyn to make an impact into a points haul for his championship title hopes. Okay, the next of our Toyotas with Taka coming into the tyre fitting zone. Now, Taka currently sitting in a podium position. It looked like sort of at some point it was all lost at the midpoint of the stages today, and he's back in that podium position.
He's again being patient and be positive, and Taka have been working so hard all weekend, and now it pays off and he's back up on the podium, and it's a really well-done rally for Taka. And we have seen Thierry a few times with Taka that he has been in this position, and like a smaller error or a mistake takes him out of the podium. And it will be interesting now to see if Taka can handle this kind of pressure and stay on the podium for the weekend.
Yeah, okay, Taka's tyres still not hugely worn. Again, not the worst, considering what they've just been through. Rear tyre more so.
Rear tyre looks a bit more worn, definitely.
So they're rushing here very much. This is more fast-paced than we're seeing with Elfyn. Why?
Yeah, normally we could say 50 minutes is way enough time just to change the tyres. But all of a sudden you will discover something when you take off the wheel, that there's a brake pipe leaking, or you can find some damage to any other parts. So it's really important to hurry up and just try to discover everything during these 50 minutes.
Now, yeah, Taka's rear tyres definitely look like they've been through the mill here a bit.
And you can see, like, on the brakes, on the left rear, it's a wheel scraper. It's the wheel scraper's job is all the time to take all the dirt and the gravel away from the inside of the wheel, the inside of the rim. And the wheel scraper is kind of worn out as well, but they can't change it. These parts you don't carry in the car. It's not so important if that wheel scraper is broken.
Now, is there something or a situation where you just know you've got a problem and you're coming into a tyre fitting zone? And I mean, for you personally, you just know you are not the best at fixing, and it's a bit of one of those fears. You know, you're coming in, you know something needs changing, and it's not your skill set in any way.
That's a difficult situation, but there's guys behind the fence that always can help as well. You got the 2 mechanics, they are working, and you got some other people who can tell you from the other side of the fence what to do and when to do it. So you got help around, but you have to do it yourself, and it's a bad feeling when you know that I can't fix this, or I'm not so good at fixing this.
Okay, well, it's the tyre fitting zone that we are in. It's a limited time tyre fitting zone. It's a limited personnel tyre fitting zone as well. So there's only a couple of mechanics working on each car. Eyes with Taka at the moment. Taka currently sitting in a podium position. There's been a lot of events. It's been an eventful morning. Now they head out this afternoon onto some very tricky, some very famous stages. Monte Lerno, Mickey's Jump. It's all coming your way.
Yeah, definitely, and it's Mickey's jump is very famous one. It's we are all looking forward to that stage, and it's so much people, and you can see now all the dust and the gravel inside this air duct coming from basically the front of the car. So they're changing the filter and they put it back in the car, and you can see it's
well,
different.
as we are moving down the line, we'll head down to the first of our Hyundais is in. So we're going to head down to Danny Sordo now. And have a look at what's going on. Danny Sordo, applaud from the crowd. He's kind of home from home here for Danny. He's definitely an Italian favourite, let's say.
Yeah, definitely. The crowd is always cheering. But here I feel a bit stressed as well. We are running as well from one spot to the other to reach them. So we are running a bit as well and stressing as well.
Well, yeah, there's a lot going on up here, but it is where the heart of the action is. So talk to me about Danny. Again, tyres, these are looking particularly worn as well.
Yeah, you can see the rear wheel is more worn out than the front. And I think specifically, Danny's rear wheel is more worn out than the other guys. So it's up to a strategy as well, because you are changing the wheel front to rear between the stages. So it's a strategy how long and how many Ks the wheels will be on the car on the stage, because you can use the two spares you got in the boot. You can put them on. You can take the front wheel to the rear and the rear in the boot and save them for maybe the last stage then.
Okay, well, as we're just keeping our eyes on Danny, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of our overall classifications as we are at the midway point of Saturday. So Tänak is in the lead. He's leading the way here in Sardinia over Sebastian Ogier, 3.5. There's never a time to get comfortable with a 3.5 second lead over Sebastian Ogier. So it's going to be interesting to see how hard Oit pushes out there. He did say that he was trying to not manage the situation out there this morning. But what I more wanted to get to was the fact that Danny is now a little bit more in command, moving up to fourth. He had sort of, again, a difficult morning, and he has got himself back up into fourth. Can he take Tänak this afternoon? That is going to be the goal. Okay, Danny just talking to a co-driver, but we are actually going to walk back up to Tänak because it seems like there's a little extra going on up there. It's just me and Ivan up here, so we are dragging our poor cameraman back and forth, up and down here. But there seems like apparently we've just been given a little bit of a sneaky bit of information that there's something extra going on, so we're just going to keep our eyes on that for a second as we see Tänak pulling in. Now, nothing particularly major in terms of a service for Tänak, so we are just going to stick with Tänak for a second or two. And Ivan, anything that you understand from this situation?
No, but I can see that the sump guard is off and they are working between the engine and the gearbox, and definitely there's something going on, but it's a bit difficult to see in between here.
All right, well, we are just going to listen into the mechanics for a second. Ivan, are we thinking gearbox situation here?
It might be a gearbox situation, and it's so rough out there, and we have so many hard impacts to the sump guard. It might make a crack, and you can see from the sump guard actually it's full of oil, kind of a mix of dirt and oil, and that's why we said earlier on Tänak was a bit stressed, because they really want to like kind of strip the car to see if there's any cracks or anything damaged, and all of a sudden they found the damage when they took the sump guard off and find some oil. So it might be a crack in the gearbox.
What is the fix here with the limited?
The fix here is in the hand of Tänak at the moment.
Some putty.
He will some chemical metals, so he's making it now soft, so he's warming it up, and then they will try to make everything clean now. So I think that's the mechanic is doing. He's trying to clean the crack as best as possible. They will use this chemical metal and try to push it in the crack and see if it's kind of human-made welding without using welding. You can just use this chemical metal, and then it will refill the oil again, because on the right side of the mechanic, in front of the car, there's different bottles, and it's engine oil, it's gearbox oil, it's diff oil, and they will use this to refill. And you can see Tänak now is putting the cap on the. No, it's not Tänak, to be honest. It's Aaron, but they are putting the cap back and bring it in the car, because they have to bring the oil to the next stages again, because it's going to leak that crack, definitely.
Okay, so the likelihood of that repair getting them to the end of the day? Feasible?
Sorry, again?
Likelihood of that repair getting them to the end of the day?
Hopefully it will last, but it's a chance that it will leak and leak and leak, and in the end of the day you're running out of oil.
All right. Well, it's Munster that's heading out already. Does that mean that Fourmaux is now over his time?
That's totally true. Adrian is using more time than he should. If Munster now is clocking in, he will use more time
than Adrian, because as we just said,
that's true, because it just
taking more time than is allocated at the moment, because obviously the repair for the brakes was a bigger job than the time allowed. So we'll just head up. We have now got Sebastian Ogier in. We will get down there as well. We've got Tänak, and this is very busy up in the tyre fitting zone. We have just left Tänak with what we think is a gearbox problem. They're trying to fix that. This is where the repairs that are going to happen will really make or break a day.
And I think it took some time to bleed the brakes, I think, for Adrian. So they have to use some extra time, and then you will get the penalty for each minute you're late out of this control zone, this technical area. You will get the penalty, 10 seconds per minute you're late.
Well, if Greg's already gone out, I mean, he's already probably picking up 3, maybe 4 minutes on this time. We'll get the official word on how much time Adrian has gone over and how much of a penalty he will pick up. That will come in to us at a later date when we get the official word. But it's been a torrid weekend already. It's been such a quick fire weekend. We are in a more compact rally weekend, and already there's been plenty of drama for Adrian. He had an electrical issue yesterday. He's got this today. That's okay. Sometimes it's just not your rally. It doesn't mean the season's over. It just means the rally's not working out. And don't forget, we've got Super Sunday points.
And that's why they're using the time now to get everything right, so Adrian can continue the day and try to score the points from today and be ready for tomorrow.
Okay, well, we are going to walk you down now. Sebastian Ogier in Elvin Evans' car running. Looks like Tänak is back in business. So what we'll do is head down to Sebastian Ogier. We'll let Elvin leave, actually. We'll move out the way for Elvin. And Adrian's car running. That means they are ready to go. But like you said, they're using the time now, because today doesn't necessarily count in terms of points for them. Right, that's Elvin out. This afternoon for Elvin Evans is all important. This is where he can make a difference, because Thierry is no longer in the running today. The points this afternoon for Elvin Evans are incredibly important. Adrian Fourmaux now.
So it looks like now they fixed Taka's car and they put this chemical metal. The sump guard is back on, the wheels are getting back on, and they're just now trying to torque the wheel nuts.
Sebastian Ogier just behind us now. We are next to Tänak. That looks like whatever fix they've been able to do in the allotted time has been done. Tänak cannot afford any overtime on this, because he is in a podium position. He is the second highest placed Toyota. He is important for manufacturers' points as well as for Tänak. Tänak wanting to stay in that podium position. Plenty of running. They're obviously close to the time there as well.
Yeah, and Aaron is monitoring the time card and saying we have to leave now, so they are closing the bonnet and the boot, and Tänak is doing the last little work on the windscreen, making sure everything's nice and clear. And and they will leave. And when they leave this technical zone now, there will be a tire marking as well. So the scrutineer can check that everything is correct with the tires.
Okay, well, with Taka going, I think it's poignant that we watch Sebastian Ogier now. Sebastian Ogier having an in-depth tyre conversation with Pirelli. Likely to be a conversation from Sebastian Ogier. Should I take 5? I am thinking not. You are thinking not. But that conversation is rather long over there.
Yeah, but I think it's also down to if we're going to carry one of the best used tires, maybe from Shakedown, that he will carry on as a spare, because you can see there's 5 new and 1 used. Yep. And maybe he will carry a used tire as a spare together with 1 new spare. So it's all down to strategy, I think, because I think already Sebastian decided to go with 6, if I'm not completely wrong.
Okay, all right. Well, we are just watching what is going on around Seb's car. What are we looking at here? What's going on?
Now, I can see a normal routine. They are like the other cars. They are changing the air filter, checking the oil, refill the oil, doing the routine. Doesn't look like any drama. The sump guard is like normal on a tire fitting zone, still on the car. They haven't found any leaks, so it's at the moment no panicking. And what they will do now is one of the mechanics will refill some oil to the car just to make sure that it's enough oil.
All right.
When you're complaining, Kiri, to change the wheel on your standard road car from winter to summer, you know that even a world champion is changing his own tires.
Yeah. Very, very true.
We got proof now.
Yeah. Now, it's slightly different, like we were saying, because at this point today, there's no looking back at anything that happened in the morning, because the set of stages that are happening this afternoon have not been run already today. So it is a slightly different format that presents a slightly different mindset and a slightly different way of doing things for the co-driver.
Yeah, definitely, because now they are doing 2 stages and a small little break, and then they are doing the same 2 stages again. And we talked about it earlier on, but normally on a service, midday service, you can go through the onboards and you can check if there's any mistakes on the first loop. Now you just have to trust yourself on the pace notes.
Okay, well, I think we should head down to Tänak, because Tänak is, of course, leading our rally. So let's just remind you of what's going on for the afternoon. So it is Monty Lerno, Mickey's Jump, stage 9 at 2:16. At 3 o'clock, stage 10. Then, as we said, it's repeated once again, stage 11. Monty Lerno back in business at 5:10. The sun's going to be in full force. It does get very hot in the afternoon, so the second run of Monty Lerno is going to be hot. It's going to be rough. It's going to be difficult. And then the final stage is a repeat, and it will be at 6 o'clock in the evening. We'll be back in the media zone in Alghero. But for now, eyes are on Tänak, the man that is leading Rally Italia Sardinia.
Try to read Oit's pace, but it's not so easy with Oit. You can't really read his pace. But I think he's thinking a bit now. Should I go more risky or should I go more steady? He's fighting against Sebastian Ogier. It's not so easy. So we can at least see it's new tires on the car, which means it's no panic here. It's no drama. They haven't found any big mistakes or wrong with the car. So it's yeah, it looks like it's a bit calm here now.
All right, well, we are lurking incredibly close while they are doing these repairs, tyre changes on these cars at the tyre fitting zone. But like you said, it's all looking fairly regular and calm for Tänak at the moment, which is what you want to be. When you're leading a rally, you want it to be regular, you want it to be calm. You don't want anything thrown up at this point, because again, for Oit, remembering that he could now put himself right in that fight for a championship title, considering the points haul that you can pick up on Saturday, the Super Sunday points as well. He's in 3rd. He overtook Adrian in points in that championship title race after Portugal. This is important for Oit as well this afternoon.
Yeah, and it looks like Oit understands that, because he's enormous calm. It's maybe one of the drivers who have been most calm in this tire fitting zone. He's so relaxed and he's doing the jack now to take the car down from the jack stance.
Okay, it looks like their time almost up now as well. It's almost time to head back out onto those stages. What is Montilerne like?
Oh, it's something special. It's a roller coaster ride, and then you got the famous jump as well, Mickey's jump. I think Jenny will have some stories if you didn't already tell us the story about Mickey's jump. So, Jenny, if you haven't already said something, you have to tell us more about the Mickey jump and the name of the Mickey jumps.
Yeah, okay, but we'll get to that. The famous Mickey's jump. Oit, again, very relaxed.
They are doing the torque with this little tool on the tires before they put this cap back on, just to make sure the wheel nuts are strong enough tighten up.
And it is our rally leader that gets in the car to head out to the final 4 stages of Saturday. Remembering, if he remains in the lead, he gets an incredible point score for Saturday. .5 seconds the gap between him and Sebastian Ogier. Sebastian Ogier is still here. Oit left already. Oit leaving early?
I think it's not too bad. There should be a few minutes between them, so I think it's full control. Sebastian now is just doing this torque. He's doing the torque with his foot, actually. Maybe got adjustment with the torque in his foot. You know exactly how much he will be standing on this tool.
3.5 seconds. It's not a difficult task for a man like Sebastian Ogier. He'll have a plan this afternoon for sure.
Normally I do have a plan, so we'll see, but he's up against Tänak, and Oit is maybe one of the guys with the strongest head in the field, and I think we are talking about 2 guys who know Sardinia so well, and they both want to win this rally.
I think because all of our WRC cars have gone, our Rally 1 cars, I can tell you safely that for now anyway, there's 2 tyres in that boot.
It's definitely 2 tires.
Yeah.
And there's 1 used and 1 new spare as well, so I think that's a clever choice from Sebastian.
What are the benefits? That means that he's got all the tyres that he needs for tomorrow. What are the benefits with taking a used tyre? It's all about making sure you've got the allocation for the rest of the rally for tomorrow, basically.
The tyre strategy and the tyre management is a big part of a weekend like in Sardinia, because you have to do it really well with the tire management, because you need the tires because it's so rough. And you can see on some spare tires, like on Seb's car, there's no rubber left on the outside of the wheel, so it's completely used. And you can see even it's a bit bent on the wheel there, on the top of the wheel, and the air is almost gone out. So it's really important to carry on and have as much rubber on the used tires, because you need them as spares sometimes, like Sebastian have done now. He brought 1 used spare from Shakedown.
All right, well, Sebastian will be the last of our Rally 1 cars to leave. In the distance is Nikolai Greiers and Sami Payari behind us. The WRC 2 cars are now in full effect in their tyre fitting zone.
It looks like they found something, because now Sebastian is a bit under the front of the car. Discussing a bit with the mechanic, but I think they both agree that it's fine to go.
Up that way, we'll head up to the rest of our WRC2 cars. Now all of our Rally 1 cars have headed out. It's fascinating. A lot of you can just stand back and watch, because it's, you know, when you're watching like a theatre performance or something, it's literally everybody's just coming into play, doing their role, knowing exactly what they're going to be doing. It's all very calm out there.
You can see from Nikolai's car there's some protection parts broken, so it's really rough out there.
Nikolai, we're just invading your very quick service and tyre fitting zone here. How rough was it out there today?
It's quite rough, I will say. Really, really rough. Even in Greece, we never had the same conditions, and it's quite difficult, especially when you don't have the service. So you cannot really attack in some places where it might be risky for suspension. And yeah, I mean, it's tough for everyone, and especially without the service, you as a small regroup, just no time to rest. But from the other hand, it's quite interesting and demanding for the to test yourself on the conditions like this. So it's like maybe we start more go in the direction of Dakar, but like we're shortening the days, but we are making the more hard race.
Shortening the days, but increasing the drama. Thank you, Nikolai, for talking to us. Now, I found Nikolai, I lost Ivan, but that's okay. Well, we'll head up this way. Martin Prokop up this way, and Larry Una, absolutely no idea. I have lost Ivan somewhere. We'll just have a look, actually. This is some small repairs to Nikolai Greisen's car with... There you are.
You lost me.
I did lose you. Nothing too major here, just the bits that you can't fix, you tape up.
No, I just have to explain why I left you. I just tried to sort out why they were looking in the front of Sebastian's car, and they didn't want to tell me, but they said, all fine.
That comes as no surprise that they didn't want to tell us,
No,
but at least it's all fine. At least it's all fine. Okay, Martin Prokop behind us. Nikolai just talking about how tough it was out there and how tough it is going to be this afternoon. He's saying, this compact rally that we're seeing here in Sardinia is definitely shaking up the drama.
And I'm so... what should I say? Martin have done this rally 19 times. Martin Prokop have been there 19 times. It's so many times. Maybe that's that's the age of some of the junior drivers, I think, 19. So he's really experienced in Sardinia, Martin.
Okay, now I'm just getting some information in. Thank you so much to Omar, who's getting that information across to us. It looks like Adrian Fourmaux was 6 minutes late out of his tyre fitting zone / service up here. But like you were saying, he had the electrical issue. His points haul for Friday and Saturday is not relevant to him. What is relevant now is Super Sunday and making sure he gets through today to be able to get to Sunday.
Yeah, and if you're not doing our math completely wrong, it's 6 times 10, which makes us a minute in penalty for Adrian.
Okay, we're gonna head up and see if we can get maybe a word with Larry Una or Martin Prokop if we can.
I think Martin got time. Martin will give us some time.
Martin will do indeed. You look like you're very handy with your tools.
Yeah, I just look like that. Now I'm trying to help and to decide to choose the right tires.
What is the right tyre for this afternoon?
You'll see in the evening what was the right choice. But I will go cross and let's see.
Hope for the best.
Yeah, let's see.
All right, Martin, thank you so much.
Martin said cross, and it means that he will try to cross soft and hard on the car, and it's always a discussion that should I go soft on the front, soft on the rear, or one soft on the left rear and one soft on the right front. It's always coming down to testing and the preferences of the driver. If it's full soft in the front, or if it's a cross.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll head and leave Martin Prokop. We'll walk down here because we've got Robert Vervez.
No. You try now to sneak some information out of me if the others have done some choices, but...
I like that. If you had a choice, no. I don't have any answers.
Luckily, I'm in the position I'm not taking the choice this time.
We'll see what Kaito's got to say. We'll head down here because these services look quite calm. Or just to... I'll see if we can whiz into this conversation just quickly. Does look like they're discussing something serious. Kaito, tyre choice for this afternoon. Any ideas? Martin was just saying if we had any ideas. Do you have any ideas?
This is what I want to know. The question is 3 hard or 4 hard? Tell me.
I'm going to go with 4, but I have no clue.
I'm much more closer than 3.
How tough is it out there, and how tough do you think it's going to be this afternoon?
I think it's gonna be tough. More fast stages, more flat, but not everywhere. Different driving style. We'll see.
See, we'll enjoy it at least. Okay, all right, well, there seems like there is no clue on the tyre choice out there. I just gave my official verdict that I think he should take 4 hards. He just looked at me and went, nah, I want to do that. I was like, well, at least I helped him make a decision.
That's good, Kerry. They always need some advices, definitely. But coming down to tyre choice, it's all about trusting yourself, because you will always, like Martin Prokop asked us, what did the other guys do or what would you do? You take your choice and you go with it, and you have to believe that that's the best choice. Even if it's used tires, you got the world's best used tires.
I've had plenty of fun conversations with Julian Ingrassia about other teams, other crews, looking at what they're doing and then making last-minute changes, because obviously Sebastian Ogier and Julian Ingrassia, when they were that partnership, were unstoppable. So other people watching, other people looking and saying, what are they doing? And then making those changes. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you were going to copy anybody, it would be Sebastian Ogier. Yeah,
definitely. It's a man to watch. But I think it's always good to trust yourself. You should really trust yourself and your choices and stick with them and believe that you do the best tire choice. And as I said, if you got out on the used tires, you got the world's best used tires.
Okay, all right, well, enough of us talking. I think we've pretty much covered every single thing that can happen in a tyre fitting zone, and hopefully given you a bit of an insight into what goes on here. But this now is done for our top guys. The cars will continue to run through here, but for now, it is all about the next 4 stages of Saturday at Rally Italia Sardinia. It is going to be very exciting. Let's do it.
Are you ready for the afternoon's action here in Sardinia? Because we certainly are. It's been a brilliant morning out there, and now we're into a completely different loop of stages. And we kick off with the classic, Montelerno, which, to be honest, is considered by the fans here to be the true heart of Rally d'Italia Sardinia. We've seen this run over many, many years. We've seen it as a monster 50-kilometre stage. It's now 25.3 Ks, and in the same kind of format as we saw back in 2020 and 21, with a new ending. Obviously from what it was before, when it stretched out to the monster that it used to be. It's still a tough stage out there. There's a quick look at the stage analysis, and it's so different again from what we saw earlier. That we kicked off the loop this morning with a very soft sandy base stage. You've got a real mixture in here again, and the tyre risk, puncture risk is kind of almost up there at the top level. But the stress on the tyres, maybe not so much. It'll be an interesting one to see for the first pass. It's got the famous Mickey's jump, of course, quite close to the start of this stage, and we have a great battle as we go into it. Tänak held the lead on the previous stage. It's 3.5 seconds over Sebastian Ogier, but the previous stage at Tula really did change things around. We lost Thierry Neuville, who went off on that stage. Takamoto Katsuta is now in 3rd position overall. Danny Sordo is in 4th position for us, with Elvin Evans in 5th. I'm Bex Williams, ready to talk you through this afternoon. Mike Chenny is alongside me. It was a dramatic Tula stage, and now we see Gregoire Munster here. First on the road for us, Adrien Fourmaux was late out of that tyre fitting zone. 6 minutes late.
Yeah, Adrian obviously had that brake issue back